Good day, viewers. Welcome back to another episode of Lifestyle Jamaica. Today we have a special guest, someone who is a stalwart in the field of agriculture. He is here with us and he will be explaining the idea of good agriculture practices and good crop production management system. Mr. Falconer, welcome to Lifestyle Jamaica. How are you?
Give thanks, give thanks.
So,
always a blessed day when you're above ground.
Yes. So we're getting the rains now, but it's a blessing to get the showers.
Definitely.
So, Mr. Falconer, could you speak to us on crop production or even the cultivation of crops that you are doing?
Well, I started out doing organic farming initially, but there wasn't really a demand for it when I started. You know, that was roughly about 2012, but that's probably about 9 years ago. So I sort of switched to inorganic production, onion and sweet potato, etc. But I found that the fluctuation in pricing of the inorganic product, you know, was up and down. You know, it was too unstable. You know, and I did it for a few years, but the last year and a half, 2 years, especially since the pandemic, I noticed that there was a need, you know, for wholesome food. And since that was my original intention, you know, I said, well, why not? You know, so I've been doing it since the last 2 years, shortly thereafter COVID, 2019. And it's still a specialty thing, you know, but the organic movement is gaining ground, and currently there is a very high demand for organic food because people realize that health starts with them, you know, not necessarily with the doctor.
Oh, excellent. So a regular farmer would ask, is organic farming profitable?
It's right now, you know, there's just a few people doing organic farming in Jamaica. The demand, it's more like a niche market. You know, there's a lot of people out there that want it, but because the price points are so high, or much higher, you know, and the square footage return on your farm is so much higher. You know, I think from a square footage standpoint, you know, you do get a much better return.
Okay. So what other crops are you doing? Exotics as well?
Yes, I do a lot of exotic because I'm on the hotel belt, and there's more than 20,000 rooms, you know, along the hotel corridor right here, and I'm an executive chef's best friend because food that is fresh and they could come here and get it sort of enhances their taste profile, okay, and make them look even better because the food is definitely going to taste much better. So what happened is that I grow a lot of herbs, parsley, basil, cilantro, garlic chives, celery, you know, so much things, dill, fennel, and all of those things are very high in demand, you know, from the executive chefs of these respective institutions, you know. So it's been very good. In terms of vegetable, I grow a lot of higher price point vegetable, arugula, kale, mixed lettuce, romaine lettuce, what else? Turnip, you know. I'm quite sure I'm missing a few, but you know, in a nutshell, those are the basic herbs and vegetables that I grow.
Okay. But onion, could you speak on onion?
Yes, onion. Onion to me is pandemic proof. You know, I think that anyone who goes into the onion business, and if you have the capitalization, and you're willing to follow best practices, it's a win-win in about 5 months. It's not as competitive as some of the other produce out there, like the carrots and the cabbage and so on, because you sort of sink or swim with those things, and the price very fluctuate. But the onion price is always very stable, and there's always extreme demand for onion. The last time I checked, 80 to 90% of the onion that we consume, comes from overseas. So that provides us with a lot of opportunities, to plant onion and make quite a bit of money on onion production.
So what variety do you like to cultivate, or you are doing now?
Well, I've been doing for the last few years a variety they call Andromeda.
Call it?
Andromeda.
Andromeda, okay.
Yeah, it's out of a farm store in Island Farm Store in Maypen. I do a purple variety, and I do a yellow variety.
Oh, that means I'm farm store?
Yes, Mr. Ma.
Okay,
as a matter of fact, I was the first to test that onion in Jamaica.
Okay.
And as a result, it has been very successful over the last few years. It's an onion that comes within 90 to 120 days, and it has exceptional shelf life. And I would say, from my trial, it has a shelf life of 3-4 months. The red onion probably a little bit less, but they're prolific yielders. Okay. And that's what I've been doing the last couple of years. The Andromeda. I'm going to trade it for the red right now.
My question to you: the red versus the white, which one fetched a better price?
The red is always better. The taste profile for the red is much better, and also it's a much healthier honey. And when I mean healthier, I mean for consumption, for human consumption. I guess anything that has color, has more antioxidant, etc. And they say that it's much better for our health. So plus it tastes much better too. So the red is much more expensive on the market, to fetch a higher price, than the yellow. So that's why the red is much more expensive in terms of fetching the higher prices.
Okay. So Mr. Falconer, the question is, most farmers struggle with onion, and because of weed management issues. What are the issues in terms of pest management, beet armyworm, purple blotch? What advice do you have for them?
The most important part of any onion production, and I would say it starts way before you plant the seeds, which is land prep. You have to do proper land preparation. That's the most important thing. And when I mean land prep, I mean it's not necessarily just clearing the land, but it's all about your proper drainage. As we speak right now, we have a lot of rain.
Yes.
And if you have onion in the sort of environment, it's raining for about 5 days straight now, every day around the same time. If you don't have proper drainage to sort of move the water away, then that could be problematic. So you could plant your seeds, and then guess what? That investment will go up in smoke as a result of not having proper drainage.
Yeah, that's true.
So drainage is important. So land prep is very good. Key component. The next thing is stale bedding. Onion does not compete properly, with weed. Very poor competitor with weed. Weed always wins. So, and what I meant by stale bed is just a matter of putting moisture on the bed, over a period of probably about 6 weeks, and spraying it down, with herbicide. You do that for a few weeks to get it under control. So when the onion is finally planted, the seeds are finally sown, you don't have much competition from the weed. So the onion will have an independent space for itself. It can pick up all the nutrients in the soil that you're giving to it, and it doesn't have to compete with all of that stuff.
Yes.
With the weed. So good land prep and good weed management.
Okay.
Stale bedding techniques. Two most important things, I think.
And you're on your way?
Yes, I am. I've been doing it for probably about 6 weeks now.
Okay.
And I'm in no rush. Because the less my onion compete with weed, the better my success ratio.
Yes, that's true. So what challenges do you face in agriculture as a farmer?
Well, it's a very expensive business.
Yeah, input costs very high.
A lot of people have a perception of farmers as, I remember when I was growing up, them call the farm the grung.
Yeah.
To me it's a very demeaning, it's a very demeaning term. I don't necessarily have a grung, I have a farm. Once you start conceptualizing,
yeah, that's true.
Your stuff as a farm, you view it psychologically, you view it totally differently. So what happened is that I see it as a business, and I use technology to sort of advance it. So as a result of that, it takes a lot of reading. But to get to your point, in terms of the challenge is financing. For instance, onion production, it takes on average, say for instance land prep. You asked me about challenges. Let me just give you an idea. If you have a virgin piece of land, say for instance an acre, and you want to put on the onion production, from land prep to irrigation and crop care, it could cost you about $750,000. So when you have that sort of capital expenditure investment that you have to put in, you have to be very, very, very careful. This is not Russian roulette. You have to measure your cost. You have to measure your risk rather. So the hoses alone just to put on the land is going to run you about $300,000-$400,000.
Yeah, that's true.
Along with a host of other things. So to sort of come up with $750,000 to do an acre of onion, it's no easy feat. It's so
that leads up to low production as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's true.
And if you do a few acres, then it adds up. It compounds.
Yeah, that's true.
And the thing about there are no banks out there, financing farmers because they see it as too risky.
Yeah, that's true.
So all of the capitalization have to come out of your pocket. So that is the biggest challenge that we have as farmers. Yes, RADA helps in their own little way sometimes. I would hope that we get better support from them, because I think that subsidies are very important, to the viability of farming in Jamaica.
Yeah, that's true.
And in first world countries, I don't think there's any industry that is as subsidized as the agriculture industry. So financing is the most troubling factor that we have to encounter as farmers, and I'm no different. Sort of subsidy will enhance the thing. I know we talk about getting that food import bill down. That is one way to do it. A lot of young guys would come into farming and start doing more farming if the capital was available. Right now they don't see it as a viable option. Because the subsidies aren't there. You have to self-finance yourself.
Yes, that's true.
Everything here I sort of is financed out of pocket. So it's not easy.
Well, Mr. Falconer, I want to thank you for this time. Thank you for conducting this interview. We really appreciate it, and hope to catch up and do a follow-up with you.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, thank you very much, and blessings, one love.
Yes, give thanks.
So, viewer, subscriber, here we have it with one of our top farmers in the region. Please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe.